Happy New Year, Liam. I know we're a few days into January already, but the energy still feels very fresh, doesn't it?
Happy New Year, Mia. It definitely does. There's something in the air. I went to the park this morning, and I've never seen so many people jogging in brand new sneakers.
Oh, the New Year's sneakers. I love that. Everyone is out there trying to become a version 2.0 of themselves. It's like the whole world decided to press the reset button at the same time.
It's true. It's what psychologists call the fresh start effect. We look at the calendar, we see that January 1st, and we think, the old Liam who ate pizza at midnight is gone. The new Liam only eats kale and wakes up at 5 a.m.
Kale at 5 a.m.? That sounds like a nightmare, Liam. But I'm exactly the same. Every year on December 31st, I sit down with my favorite pen and a beautiful empty notebook. I feel so powerful in that moment. I start writing my resolutions.
Let me guess, is the list long?
Long, Liam? It's a novel. This year, I had 15 items on my list. 15. I wanted to learn to play the ukulele, read 50 books, meditate every morning, stop eating sugar, and, of course, perfect my French.
Wow, just listening to that list makes me want to take a nap. It's exhausting.
It is. And that's the problem, right? We get so hyped up. We have all this January energy, and we use it to create these unrealistic expectations. We think that because the year changed, our human nature changed too.
Exactly. And this is where it gets tricky for English learners. I see it every year. People say, this is the year. I will study for 2 hours every day. I will learn 10 new words every morning. I will watch every BBC documentary without subtitles.
Right. They go from 0 to 100 in one day. But Liam, life doesn't stop just because it's January. You still have your job, you still have your kids, you still have to cook dinner.
That's the hype trap. We make plans for a perfect version of ourselves, but we forget to make plans for our real selves. The version of us that gets tired. The version of us that has a bad day at work and just wants to watch Netflix.
So true. I think that's why my beautiful notebooks always have only 3 pages filled. I start with so much passion, but then by the second week of January, reality hits. I miss one day of ukulele practice, and then I feel like I've failed the whole year.
That all or nothing thinking is so dangerous. People think if they don't do the full 2 hours of English, then the day is wasted, so they do nothing at all.
Exactly. We treat our resolutions like a glass vase. If there's one tiny crack, we think we have to smash the whole thing.
But you know, Mia, there's something beautiful about that January hope. I don't want to kill the excitement. I think it's great that people want to improve. The question is, how do we keep that fire burning without letting it burn us out?
That's what I want us to figure out today. How can we take this January hype and turn it into something real? Something that actually lasts until December?
I think it starts with being a bit more honest with ourselves, and maybe a bit more kind.
I agree. So let's talk about why we usually crash in February and how we can avoid it this time. Ready to get into the messy details?
Let's do it. But first, maybe put that ukulele away for a second.
Fine, but I'm keeping the notebook. Okay, Liam, so we just talked about that big January energy, but we all know what happens next. The calendar turns to February, the weather is usually gray and cold, and suddenly, that new you feels a lot like the old you.
February, the graveyard of New Year's resolutions. It's actually a documented thing, Mia. They say that by the second week of February, about 80% of people have already abandoned their goals.
80%? That's heartbreaking. But honestly, I get it. I've been there. You start the year like a race car, and then suddenly, you run out of gas. Why does that happen? Why is it so hard to just keep going?
Well, there's a biological reason for it. Our brains are actually designed to keep us safe. And to our brain, safe means the way things have always been.
So my brain is actually trying to stop me from being better?
In a way, yes. Your brain loves patterns. When you try to force a big change, like, I'm going to study English for 2 hours every night, your brain sees that as a threat to your energy. It thinks, wait, this is too much work. We don't have the energy for this. Go back to the sofa.
That explains so much. It's like an internal tug of war. I remember last year, I decided I was going to write in a journal every single morning at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.? Mia, I've known you for years. You aren't a morning person.
I know, but it was January. I was new Mia. For the first week, I did it. I felt like a hero. By the second week, I hit the snooze button once. By the third week, I looked at the journal and I actually felt angry at it. I hated it.
That's the willpower gap. We think willpower is like a battery that never dies, but it's actually more like a muscle. If you work it too hard, too fast, it gets exhausted.
And when the willpower dies, the shame starts. That's the part that really hurts English learners. They miss 3 days of practice because work was busy, and then they tell themselves, I'm just not good at this. I'll never be fluent. Why even try?
Exactly. That February slump isn't a sign that you are weak, it's a sign that your plan was too heavy. We try to change our whole lives in a month, but real change is slow, it's quiet, it's almost boring.
Boring? People don't like boring, Liam. We want the movie montage where we study for 3 minutes and suddenly we're experts.
I know, but real life doesn't have a soundtrack. The reason English feels so hard in February is because the novelty has worn off. It's not new and exciting anymore, it's just work.
So how do we fight that? If our brain is trying to protect the old habits, how do we actually introduce something new without starting a war in our heads?
I think we have to stop trying to conquer the language and start inviting it in. We need to make the goals so small that the brain doesn't even notice them as a threat.
Oh, like a Trojan horse? You sneak the habit in?
Exactly. If you tell your brain, we're just going to listen to one 5-minute podcast while we make coffee, the brain says, oh, okay, that's fine. That's not a threat.
I love that. So instead of a giant mountain, we're just talking about one small step.
Exactly, because the person who does 5 minutes every day for a year will always be further ahead than the person who does 2 hours a day for only 2 weeks.
That's a powerful thought. Consistency over intensity.
Precisely. And in the next part, I want us to apply this specifically to English. How do we create an English resolution that actually survives the February slump?
I'm ready. Let's talk about how to make these habits stick. All right, Liam. We've talked about the February slump and how our brains hate big changes. So let's get specific. Most of our listeners have one big resolution. I want to get better at English this year.
It's a classic, but getting better at English is a huge, blurry goal. It's like saying, I want to be healthier. What does that even mean? Does it mean running a marathon? Does it mean eating an apple?
Exactly. It's too big to start. And when a goal is too big, we get paralyzed. So you mentioned micro habits earlier. How does that work for someone who feels like they have no time?
The rule for a micro habit is simple. It has to be so easy that it's harder to not do it than to do it. It should take less than 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Liam, people are going to say, Mia, I can't learn a language in 5 minutes a day.
And they're right. You can't. But here's the secret. You aren't building fluency in those 5 minutes. You are building the habit of showing up. Once you show up, the fluency follows.
Ah, I see. It's like putting on your gym shoes. Putting on the shoes is the hardest part. Once the shoes are on, you'll probably walk for at least 10 minutes.
Exactly. So for English, a microhabit could be, I will listen to one English song while I brush my teeth. Or, I will read just one news headline in English before I open Instagram.
I like the Instagram one. It's like a tax you pay before you get to your social media. One English sentence first.
Precisely. Or another one I love, the kitchen label game. Every time you boil the kettle for tea or coffee, you have to name 3 things in the kitchen in English. Kettle, spoon, fridge. Done.
That's so simple, it's almost funny, but I can see how it works. You aren't fighting your brain for an hour, you're just sneaking English into your day.
Right, and the magic of micro-habits is that they are slump-proof. Even on your worst day, even if you're sick or tired or had a terrible day at work, you can still name 3 things in your kitchen.
And that means you didn't break the chain. You still did something. That feeling of success is what keeps you going until March, April, and June.
Exactly. Most people fail because they aim for the moon and crash. But if you just aim for the next step, you keep moving. Mia, what's a micro-habit you could start for your French?
I think before I check my email in the morning, I will write one sentence in my French journal. Just one. Today is Tuesday, and it's raining.
Perfect. That's it. And some days you might feel inspired and write a whole page. But on the days you're busy, that one sentence is enough to keep the French Mia alive.
I love that. Keeping the identity alive. Because if you do it every day, you start to believe, I am an English speaker, rather than I am a student trying to study.
That is a huge shift in mindset. You stop studying English and you start living a little bit of it every day.
So, for everyone listening, what is your 5-minute micro habit? Is it a song, a headline, naming things in your room? Choose one, just one.
And don't add a second one until the first one feels as natural as breathing.
Well said. But Liam, what happens when we do fail? Because let's be real, even with micro habits, life happens. We forget, we skip a day.
That's where most people quit, and that's exactly what we need to talk about next: how to redefine failure.
Let's get into that because I'm an expert at feeling guilty when I fail. So, Liam, we have our micro habits. We're naming spoons in the kitchen. We're writing one sentence a day. But then life happens. You get a cold, or your car breaks down, or you just have a week where you're completely exhausted. And suddenly, you realize you haven't touched your English for 3 days.
Ah, the guilt spiral. I know it well. This is the moment where most people say, well, I ruined it. I broke the streak. I guess I'm just not a disciplined person. And then they stop for 6 months.
That is exactly what I do. I feel so much shame. It's like I've disappointed myself. I remember a few years ago, I promised myself I would do a 30-day yoga challenge. I got to day 12, missed day 13 because of a long work meeting, and I never went back. I felt like if it wasn't a perfect 30 days, it didn't count.
That is the perfectionist's trap, Mia. We think that progress has to be a straight line going up, but real progress, human progress, looks like a scribble. It goes up, it goes down, it circles back.
But it's so hard to feel that way in the moment. When you miss a day of English, you feel like you're losing all the work you did before.
But you aren't. That's the thing. Your brain doesn't just delete English because you took a break for a weekend. The problem isn't the break. The problem is the shame you feel about the break.
You're right. The shame makes the English book feel heavy. You see it on the table and you think, oh, I've been bad. I don't want to open that because it reminds me that I failed.
Exactly. So we need to redefine what failure means. To me, missing a day isn't failure. Failure is only when you decide to never come back. If you miss Saturday and Sunday and you show up on Monday, that's a huge win. That's resilience.
I love that. So showing up after a break is actually more important than never missing a day at all?
Absolutely, because that's the skill you need for life. Life will always interrupt you. You will always have busy weeks or vacations or lazy days. The people who succeed aren't the ones who are perfect. They're the ones who are good at starting again.
The art of starting again. I need to write that down. It's like a muscle you have to build. I missed 3 days? Okay, no big deal. I'm starting again right now. No drama, no guilt.
Exactly. Think of it like a GPS in your car. If you take a wrong turn, the GPS doesn't start shouting at you, "You idiot, you ruined the whole trip, go home."
I'm never talking to you again. You're a terrible driver.
Right, it doesn't do that. It just calmly says, recalculating. That's what we need to do. Missed a day? Recalculating. Busy week? Recalculating. Just find the next fastest route back to the path.
That makes me feel so much better, Liam. It takes the morality out of it. You aren't a bad person because you didn't study English. You're just a human who had a busy day.
Precisely. We need to be as kind to ourselves as we would be to a friend. If a friend told you, "I was too tired to study English last night," you wouldn't tell them they are a failure, right?
No, I'd tell them to get some rest and try again tomorrow.
So why do we say such mean things to ourselves? This year, let's make a resolution to be our own best coach, not our own worst critic.
I'm in. Recalculating is going to be my new favorite word.
Me too. And speaking of the path ahead, in the final part, let's talk about how to stop focusing on the goal and start actually enjoying the system.
Sounds like a plan. Let's wrap this up.
All right, Mia, we've made it to the final part of our New Year's special. We've talked about the hype, the slump, the micro habits, and how to stop feeling guilty when we trip up. But there's one last piece of the puzzle.
I'm curious. We've covered so much, but it feels like there's a secret ingredient we're missing. What is it?
It's a shift in how we look at progress. Most people focus on the goal. They say, "I want to be fluent," or "I want to pass this exam." But a goal is just a destination on a map. You can stare at the map all day, but it won't move you 1 inch forward.
That's so true. I spend a lot of time staring at the map of success and not enough time actually walking.
Exactly. So the secret is to focus on the system, not the goal. A system is what you do every day, regardless of the result. If a builder only thinks about the finished house, he might get overwhelmed, but if he just focuses on laying one brick perfectly every morning, eventually he has a house.
I love that. So the system is the brick. For an English learner, the system isn't becoming fluent. The system is drinking my coffee while listening to Mia and Liam.
Precisely. If your system is solid, the goal happens automatically. You don't even have to worry about it. It's like plants. You don't stand over a plant and scream, "Grow faster, be a flower."
I mean, I've tried that. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. You just give it water, you give it light, and you make sure the soil is good. That's the system. The growth is just a natural result of a good system.
This makes so much sense, Liam. It takes the pressure off the future and puts the focus on the now. When I focus on the goal of speaking perfect French, I feel stressed. But when I focus on the system of reading one French poem today, I feel happy. I feel successful right now.
And that's the key. You get to feel like a winner every single day, instead of waiting for some goal that might be 2 years away. Every time you finish your 5-minute English habit, you should tell yourself, "The system worked today. I won."
I love that. I won today. It's so much more motivating than "I'm still not fluent yet."
Exactly. And as we head into this new year, I want our listeners to think about their lives as a collection of systems. Don't worry about December 2026. Just worry about tomorrow morning. Is your system ready? Do you have your headphones near your coffee machine? Is your favorite English book on your pillow?
You're talking about environment design, making the system easy to follow.
Yes. Don't rely on willpower. Willpower is weak. Rely on your environment. If the book is already open on your desk, you're 90% more likely to read it.
Okay, Liam, I'm feeling inspired. My system for the ukulele is now officially pick it up for 60 seconds after I brush my teeth. That's it. 60 seconds.
Perfect. That is a bulletproof system.
So before we say goodbye, we promised a challenge of the week. Are you ready for it?
I am. Listeners, here is your mission for the first week of this journey, the Tiny Victory Challenge.
I like the name. What do they have to do?
For the next 7 days, I want you to pick one micro habit, just one, something that takes less than 5 minutes. Maybe it's listening to a few minutes of this podcast or writing one sentence in a notebook.
And here's the important part. Every time you do it, I want you to physically check it off a list, or even better, say out loud, "That's my win for today."
Yes, celebrate the tiny victory. Don't think about your grammar. Don't think about your accent. Just celebrate the fact that you showed up for your system.
And if you miss a day, what do we say, Liam?
We say, Recalculating. No guilt. Just start the system again the next morning.
I love it. This year isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's about being a person who doesn't give up on their systems.
Exactly. Well, Mia, I think we've given them enough to think about. I'm excited for this year. I think it's going to be a year of many tiny victories.
Me too. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. If you found this helpful, share it with a friend who might be struggling with their resolutions.
And remember, English is a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the walk.
This was English Vibes with Mia and Liam. We'll see you next week for another conversation.
Happy New Year and happy learning.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.